In the often intense, high-stakes world of football, emotions can run dangerously close to the surface. The locker room, a space meant to be a sanctuary for camaraderie, strategy, and the unspoken bonds between teammates, can also turn into a pressure cooker where rivalries simmer, grudges grow, and tempers can erupt with explosive force. For Travis Hunter, a player whose meteoric rise in the sport seemed unstoppable, this sacred space has now become the scene of a career-threatening scandal. Reports are flooding in that Hunter, the golden boy of his team, may now be staring down the barrel of serious legal trouble after allegedly attacking a teammate. The reason? Not a bad tackle in practice, not a disagreement over plays, but deeply personal, cutting remarks about his wife's alleged infidelity. What started as a cruel locker room joke has snowballed into a violent confrontation, injuries, and now the looming possibility of criminal charges that could derail everything Hunter has worked for. To understand the gravity of this moment, it's important to know just who Travis Hunter is and what he represents in the modern football landscape. Hunter is not just another talented player. He is widely regarded as one of the most electrifying, versatile athletes in recent years. Playing both wide receiver and cornerback at a level few can match, he has captured the attention of fans, coaches, and NFL scouts alike. His performances are the kind of highlight reel material that sports networks play on loop, the kind of raw talent that inspires endless debates about just how high his ceiling could be. But with such talent comes immense pressure. Pressure to deliver on the hype, to maintain a spotless image, and to represent not just himself, but the institutions and sponsors that have invested in his success. Hunter's public persona has been largely clean, built on charisma, sportsmanship, and that rare ability to connect with fans in an authentic way. Yet, behind that public image is the reality faced by many athletes. Personal lives that are constantly scrutinized, relationships subjected to public judgment, and every misstep magnified through the lens of social media and the 24-hour news cycle. For Hunter, the strain of balancing his professional demands with the challenges of private life may have reached a breaking point in the worst possible way. The catalyst for this incident wasn't an on-field rivalry or a disagreement about strategy. Instead, it was something far more personal and painful. Rumors circulating about Hunter's marriage. For weeks, and possibly longer, whispers had been making their way through the team and onto social media platforms, suggesting that Hunter's wife had been unfaithful. In the sports world, where athletes' personal relationships are often dragged into the public arena, such rumors can spread quickly, whether they're grounded in truth or completely unfounded. Within the locker room, these rumors reportedly became fodder for teasing and trash talk. While banter is an accepted part of sports culture, sometimes even a bonding tool among teammates, there's a line that most know not to cross. Making jokes about someone's family, marriage, or personal struggles is widely seen as going too far, especially in a team environment where trust is supposed to be paramount. But for at least one teammate, that line appears to have been not just crossed but stomped on. Multiple sources claim that in front of others, this teammate mocked Hunter directly about the infidelity rumors, turning private pain into a public spectacle. Accounts of what happened next vary slightly, but most agree on the key details. It was after an intense practice session when emotions were already running high. As players were cooling down and preparing to leave, the verbal jab was delivered, not quietly, but loud enough for several others to hear. Witnesses say it wasn't just a passing comment, but a deliberate taunt that struck at the heart of Hunter's personal life. In that moment, Hunter's composure reportedly cracked. Without much hesitation, he closed the distance between himself and the teammate. What followed was sudden and violent. Sources describe Hunter shoving the teammate hard into the lockers, followed by a barrage of punches. The attack was reportedly swift but brutal, leaving the teammate stunned and unable to defend himself before others intervened. Teammates and staff scrambled to pull the two apart, but the damage had been done, not just physically, but reputationally. The teammate was said to have sustained visible facial injuries and may have shown signs of a concussion, prompting immediate medical evaluation. For many teams, incidents like this are dealt with internally through suspensions, fines, or counseling mandates. However, the presence of injuries, witnesses, and documented medical treatment changes everything. In many states, physical altercations that result in bodily harm can be classified as assault, and the fact that this took place within a professional or collegiate sports facility means it could be treated as workplace violence. This legal distinction significantly raises the stakes. The key turning point now lies in the hands of the injured teammate. If he chooses to press charges, and reports suggest he's at least considering it, the case could move from the domain of sports discipline into the criminal justice system. Prosecutors would have witness statements, injury reports, and possibly even security footage from the locker room to build their case. While first-time offenders sometimes escape with probation or community service, the high-profile nature of this incident could compel legal authorities to make an example of Hunter, potentially seeking jail time to underline that fame and athletic talent do not place someone above the law. Even before any legal decisions are made, the damage to Hunter's career trajectory could be substantial. The NFL is a league that takes character evaluations seriously during the draft process. Scouts and general managers scrutinize not only on-field performance, but also behavior, emotional control, and personal judgment. A violent altercation, especially one stemming from a personal insult, could raise red flags about Hunter's ability to handle the pressures and provocations that come with the professional spotlight. Sponsorship deals, too, could be at risk. Companies invest in athletes as brand ambassadors, and any hint of scandal can make them reconsider those partnerships. Even if Hunter avoids criminal charges, the lingering perception of volatility could make potential sponsors hesitant. In the age of social media, public opinion can shift rapidly, and in Hunter's case, he now faces the uphill battle of repairing both his professional image and his relationships within the team. Outside the legal system and the team's internal response, Hunter is also facing trial in the court of public opinion. Fans are fiercely divided. Some have rushed to his defense, arguing that there's only so much a man can take when it comes to personal insults about his marriage. They claim that while violence isn't the answer, the provocation in this case was extreme and deeply personal. Others, however, believe that Hunter crossed a line that no professional athlete should, no matter the circumstances, and that he has shown a lack of the discipline expected at his level. However, on that fateful day, one teammate decided to push the limits. In front of a group of players, this teammate mocked Hunter directly about the rumors. According to multiple witnesses, the comment was not just a casual jab. It was deeply personal, cruel, and designed to provoke. Hunter, already frustrated, lost his composure. What happened next was fast and chaotic. He shoved the teammate into a row of lockers and began throwing punches before several players and staff members intervened. The altercation left visible injuries on the teammate, and in that moment, the camaraderie of the locker room was shattered. Once the incident was reported, the legal machinery began to turn. In the eyes of the law, a locker room is still a workplace, and physical assault in a workplace environment is taken seriously, regardless of whether that workplace is a football field or a corporate office. The teammate had every right to press charges, and early reports suggested that he was seriously considering it. If that had happened, Hunter could have faced misdemeanor or even felony charges, depending on the severity of the injuries and the jurisdiction's laws on assault. And while some might argue that the provocation should be taken into account, the reality is that the legal system often doesn't weigh emotional triggers as heavily as we'd like to think. For an athlete like Hunter, the implications went far beyond possible jail time. A criminal record could devastate his career. Endorsement deals could vanish overnight. Sponsorships tied to his positive image could be pulled. Teams could label him as a high-risk player, unworthy of long-term investment. And, perhaps most importantly, his reputation, the public perception that takes years to build, could be reduced to a single, damning narrative. Travis Hunter, the player who couldn't control his temper. Then came the lifeline. Behind closed doors, team officials, legal representatives, and the injured teammate began discussing the best way to handle the situation. The team knew that dragging this through the courts would create an ongoing media circus, one that could distract from the season and damage the brand they had carefully built. The injured teammate, while still angry and hurt, recognized the long-term consequences this could have for Hunter and for the team's overall unity. A compromise was reached. The teammate would agree not to press charges and would support an internal resolution if Hunter agreed to apologize. But this wasn't going to be a quick handshake and "my bad" in the corner of the locker room. The apology would have to be public, in front of the entire team, acknowledging the harm caused not just to the teammate, but to the group as a whole. It would need to be genuine, without deflecting blame or making excuses. And it would be accompanied by a commitment to avoid any similar behavior in the future. If Hunter could do that, and do it sincerely, the incident would be considered closed. No legal filings, no further punishments, and no permanent black mark on his record. To an outsider, this might seem like the easiest decision in the world. Apologize, walk away clean, and move on. But for athletes at Hunter's level, pride and ego are powerful forces. An apology, especially a public one, is more than just a gesture. It's a symbolic acknowledgement of fault. In a competitive environment where players are constantly striving to project strength, dominance, and confidence, admitting a mistake can feel like weakness. For some, the very act of apologizing feels like handing power to someone else. And in Hunter's case, there's another layer. The incident was triggered by deeply personal insults about his marriage. From his perspective, the attack was not just about words, but about disrespect on a fundamental level. For many athletes, and many people in general, family is sacred, and defending it is non-negotiable. Being asked to apologize in that context can feel like apologizing for defending yourself. This is why, despite how obvious the right choice may seem, the decision is complicated by emotions, pride, and personal principles. However, beyond the legal implications, there's the matter of team dynamics. Football is the ultimate team sport. Success depends on chemistry, trust, and unity. Once trust is broken, especially through physical violence, it can poison the locker room. Players may start choosing sides, tensions can linger, and on-field performance can suffer. An apology, done right, can help repair that damage. It can signal to the rest of the team that Hunter recognizes the line he crossed and is committed to making things right. From a coaching perspective, this is critical. No matter how talented a player is, if they're a source of ongoing drama, it can derail a season. Coaches and management need to know that a player can handle adversity without imploding. This apology could serve as proof that Hunter is capable of emotional growth, a quality that's just as valuable as physical skill in the long run. There's also the public relations element to consider. Right now, Hunter's name is linked to a violent incident, but a sincere apology could shift the narrative. Instead of being remembered solely for the fight, he could become an example of accountability and redemption. Media outlets love comeback stories, and fans are often willing to forgive if they see genuine remorse. Imagine the difference between the headline "Travis Hunter faces assault charges" and "Travis Hunter apologizes, pledges to lead by example." If handled strategically, this apology could be paired with community outreach, perhaps speaking to young athletes about conflict resolution or getting involved in anti-bullying campaigns. These actions wouldn't just be PR stunts. They would demonstrate that Hunter has learned from his mistake and is using his platform to promote something positive. If Hunter accepts the deal, he essentially erases the legal threat hanging over him. But the benefits go far beyond that. Teams in both college and professional leagues want players who can handle adversity without self-destructing. By taking responsibility now, Hunter could actually strengthen his standing in the eyes of scouts, executives, and sponsors. It would prove that he can take a hit, metaphorically speaking, and still come back stronger. On the flip side, refusing to apologize could be catastrophic. Not only would legal proceedings resume, but the narrative would harden around him as someone unwilling to own his actions. Even if he continued to perform on the field, his off-field reputation could limit his opportunities. Social media has amplified the incident with reaction videos, memes, and hot takes flooding platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Every new piece of information, confirmed or speculative, fuels the narrative and keeps the story alive. In this environment, it becomes almost impossible for Hunter to control the message or move on quietly. At this stage, several scenarios are possible. One is that the two players, perhaps under team mediation, reach a private settlement. This could involve financial compensation, public apologies, and agreements to move forward without involving law enforcement. Another possibility is that charges are filed and the matter proceeds to court, where Hunter would face the prospect of a criminal record, probation, or even a short jail term. A third option is that the team itself takes severe disciplinary action, potentially suspending him for a significant portion of the season or even considering dismissal in the most extreme outcome. Whatever path unfolds, Hunter will likely be required to undergo anger management or counseling, both as a practical measure and as a show of accountability to fans, sponsors, and the public. The key to salvaging his career will be demonstrating genuine remorse, a willingness to learn from the incident, and a commitment to handling future provocations with composure. This incident serves as a cautionary tale for athletes at every level. Talent and hard work can open doors to incredible opportunities, but emotional discipline is equally critical in sustaining success. The reality is that in the age of social media, personal attacks, whether based on truth, lies, or pure malice, are inevitable for public figures. The ability to rise above such attacks, or at least to manage one's reactions in private, can be the difference between a long, prosperous career and a promising future cut short by a single moment of lost control. For Travis Hunter, the coming weeks will be defining. Whether he emerges from this as a cautionary example or as a story of redemption depends not only on the legal outcome, but on how he chooses to confront the underlying issues that led to this explosion.